food. In Chinese medicine, they call it gu qi. Now, gu basically means, it sounds like goo, right? It sounds like goopiness. Basically, it's the idea that you're chewing something up and you're turning it into goo, and then you're getting energy from it, or prana. Now, energy and prana are existent in everything. So my question to you is, why do people say that you need food to have energy? You don't. Basically, what you need to understand is that, or maybe you don't need to understand, is that your food choices are really usually emotionally based. That everything you're choosing to do on a food level is probably about you actually not liking yourself, thinking you're not good enough, wanting other people to think you're better, blah, 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 blah. Being sad, angry, depressed, whatever. Now, if you realize you're eating just purely to satisfy your emotional body, you're like, wow, I'm spending all this money, time, energy, freaking out about this vibratory energy body wanting to eat sugar or crackers or whatever it is. Now, the first thing you can do is say, okay, then it doesn't matter. I can eat sugar and crackers and whatever. They're just Gucci, it's just energy like everything else. I can eat this bark and get Gucci, right? But you don't have to trip out that it's somehow good or bad that you're doing that. You can just accept that it is what you're doing. But you can also make choices maybe from a deeper level of understanding, which is like, if I'm going to eat pork ribs, I got to be somehow connected to this animal dying to eat the pork ribs. And if I'm eating the pork ribs because I'm angry at my spouse and I just want to enjoy something that's in the midst of our horrible marriage that I can't deal with, right? Then I'm basically killing this animal inadvertently to feel better, eating the pork ribs to feed my emotional body. But if my emotional body is fed by my spirit and my acceptance that everything's actually okay and that I can kind of let that emotion transcend, just like that wave just crashed. We can just let that go now. I could be sad 10 seconds ago and happy and then frustrated and whatever. It can just flow. If you let the flow go with your emotional body and you stop using food to feed it and you use consciousness to feed it, possibly you could make a choice of, what if I ate based upon what's best for my environment? Like, what if I ate things that actually weren't destroying my environment? And if you are going to make that choice to destroy your environment, it's probably a good idea to just accept that you are doing that. And again, not give it a value judgment of I'm doing a bad thing or a good thing, but just saying, wow, when I eat, tortilla chips, I'm probably helping Monsanto we probably shouldn't say that in the video, right? Anyways, I'm probably helping blank, grow more GMO corn. I'm probably helping blank company, make more corn-based cereals that give kids autism or whatever. But if you just accept that you're doing that and don't trip out on it, you always have another choice. And so that's one of the biggest things with food is it's a choice-based paradigm, right? You can choose to eat this bark, and I could be a barkatarian. I could choose to live off the air. I could choose to live off ice cream. I could choose to live off green powders. I personally have eaten pretty much any kind of diet possible thing. I haven't lived purely off insects yet, but, I'm sure that will be in vogue soon. But the biggest thing is okay, can we get off this whole high horse thing about okay, I'm the best foodie, whatever thing, and just be this earth is abundant. We can make choices to make it more abundant, and some of those choices start with our gut and what we actually choose to consume. So if we're choosing to consume things that actually give farmers jobs, that increase the biodiversity of our ecosystem, that actually help nourish and replenish the soils of the earth, aren't we actually choosing to no longer consume but actually participate in a cycle of abundance? We're no longer saying, I just want to kill stuff so I feel better about my divorce or whatever, and numb out myself with beer and pork chops. And we're saying, I'm actually going to be a co-collaborator in a more abundant future by actually paying to have better food grown in better environments, and also let go of all my prejudgments that that's somehow the coolest thing ever. Because you got to watch it. Anywhere you go, you can use health, you can use spirituality, you can use anything as a way to reinforce your ego, put other people down, and basically separate yourself from the environment. So we don't want food to become that. And if you have, well, whatever, that's what you did. Just become aware of it. Food is awareness, And food in a natural environment is just energy cycling, right? So you think it's weird I want to eat this bark. I'm like, why is he talking about the bark? Like, this is weird. Like, oh look, this is silica, right? This is coming from a silica-based, well, not silica-based plant, but this plant grows on the sand, and the sand's mainly silica. So it's able to survive in a very different environment than, let's say, like a oak tree growing in a fertile valley, right? This is a sandy, maybe a little bit of soil, but not much. It's mainly sand, right? And these are ironwood trees, and they're producing these silica-rich little dangly things called leaves, right? And they're like this because they want to preserve moisture, pretty much. It's kind of like a cactus or something. Anyways, so the silica content in this, right, for humans is, it's dietarily important. Most of the foods you eat aren't very high in silica. Horsetail is high in silica, but you're probably not eating pure silica-based foods. But the mycelium in this environment can actually break down this into soil, right? And then you have worms, arthropods, all sorts of things, taking that soil, moving it around, sifting around, and then these trees create more of this. So what's really happening? Basically, there's sunlight going into leaves, getting put into these leaves that fall, then the energy of the sunlight and the carbon in the leaf goes back into the plant, which here is this guy or the tree, right? And it's creating a more and more abundant environment just by basically cycling energy. So when you realize your body, if you zoom out in the environment, can create a more and more abundant environment by just cycling energy in appropriate fashion, then you realize food no longer has to be about consumption, it's about connection. And if food's about connection, it can connect you to people, we can eat together. There's this whole thing that I've heard that in a Jewish proverb, but basically the worst meal you can eat, or the worst possible thing you can eat, is alone. Now you could say, okay, maybe that means you're supposed to eat with your family, but what does that mean when you eat or you consume? What if you actually use that as a portal to connect? You connect to the farmers that grew the food, to the people that lived on the land 10,000 years ago where the food was grown, to everybody you know, everybody you don't know. You can zoom out. The whole universe could be a part of your meal, right? It's when we start to connect and use the environment as a means of connection, as opposed to a means of separation, that we really can just kind of let go of everything. It doesn't have to be about, do you like wheat? Do you like, corn? Are you a dairy person? Is this organic or not, or whatever? It can just be about what's in your environment, how can you engage with it in a way that's cycling energy to create more abundance? And what would it be like if you dropped all of your emotional body's need to control that cycling, and you just kind of drop in a little more? So that's a little intro on food and how to not get stuck in the concept of being a foodie or a potato chip eater, and transcend that a little bit more and just get in touch with your environment. So, as always, we're on the beach 24/7 talking about cool shit, and if you want to come, we'll be here too.